Madam Speaker, it is an immense honor to stand here in this House today and speak on behalf of the people of West Kelowna Peachland. I consider it a great privilege to serve as their voice, and I do so with a deep sense of responsibility. The trust that the residents of this riding have placed in me is something I take very seriously, and it motivates me each and every day as I work on their behalf. I would like to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the people who made this journey possible. The voters, the supporters, the dedicated volunteers, my campaign team, and the Riding Association. Thank you. Their tireless commitment has been nothing short of inspiring. As many of us know, the Okanagan summer heat can be intense. Temperatures often soar into the 40s, but despite that, my volunteers were still out there, knocking on doors, engaging with the community, and ensuring that the voices of West Kelowna Peachland were heard. Their hard work and passion are what our democracy is built on. I am so grateful for every step they took to support me. To my family, and especially to my wife, Megan, your unwavering support is the foundation of everything that I do. You have been my rock through every challenge and triumph, and I would not be here today without you. Your love and dedication inspire me to be the best representative I can be for our community. I am also proud to serve as the official opposition critic for emergency management. This role comes with great responsibility, especially as British Columbia faces increasing severe threats from wildfires, floods, and landslides. The events of recent years have underscored just how vulnerable our communities are to these disasters. Whether it's the wildfire season that seems to grow longer every year, or the floods that devastate our infrastructure and threaten British Columbian lives, we must be prepared for anything. The people of British Columbia deserve leadership that prioritizes safety and security. It is not just a matter of reacting to emergencies as they arise. It's about proactive, forward-thinking solutions to ensure that when disasters strike, our communities have the resources, coordination, and resilience to recover quickly and effectively. As I listened to the throne speech, I was reminded of the need for a bold, strategic approach to emergency management that reflects the true risks we face in our province. We cannot afford to be reactive. We must be prepared, and we must act with urgency and clarity to ensure that British Columbians are safe and supported when emergencies occur. This is not just a political issue, it is a matter of life and death. The protection of our communities, the safety of our families, and the security of our future must be at the forefront of provincial priorities. I'm committed to ensuring that we do more than just talk about the need for better emergency management. I will continue to fight for the resources, strategies, and leadership that will keep British Columbians safe in the face of increasing challenges. I was born in Penticton, raised on a family farm in Okanagan Falls, and went to a local high school in Oliver. For the past 15 years, I've called West Kelowna my home. And throughout my life, I've grown deeply connected to this province. I've served on the front lines as an RCMP officer in BC and fought wildfires with the BC Wildfire Service. These experiences have given me an even greater appreciation for the land and the people of British Columbia. But beyond the work, British Columbia is where I feel most at home. The rugged mountains, dense forests, and pristine lakes shape our identity as much as they shape the land itself. From hiking in Manning Park and Glacier National Park to running along the shores of Okanagan Lake in Peachland, I've spent countless hours in this province's beautiful outdoors. Camping across BC and exploring every region has shown me just how diverse and precious our landscapes are. They're not just scenic backgrounds, they are at the core of who we are. And it is our responsibility to protect them, preserving this legacy for generations of British Columbians to come. Madam Speaker, wildfires, landslides, and extreme weather events are no longer rare occurrences in British Columbia. They're a fact of life. Yet, year after year, we see the same old story unfold. Communities left vulnerable, first responders stretched thin, and a provincial government scrambling to react instead of planning ahead. This is not just unacceptable, it's dangerous. Take, for example, Highway 97, which serves as a vital lifeline for the Okanagan. The stretch between Peachland and Summerland remains dangerously unstable, with landslides routinely closing the road, putting families, businesses, and emergency services at risk. This should not be the case for one of the most important routes in BC. Similarly, West Side Road, another crucial road along Lake Okanagan, is outdated and unsafe. For years, this road has been neglected by the government. There has been little to no improvements in the last 8 years. This windy, narrow road has blind corners, inadequate shoulders, and a sheer drop into Lake Okanagan below. With no passing lanes for many kilometers and poor maintenance, especially in the winter, it is a constant hazard. In fact, West Side Road has earned the dubious distinction of being voted the most unsafe road in British Columbia for several years in a row. This is not just a statistic. It is an everyday reality that my constituents are forced to endure. Just a few weeks ago, this road was put to the test after a bomb threat closed the bridge across Okanagan Lake. Traffic on Highway 97 was diverted to West Side Road, further highlighting how poorly equipped our region is when it comes to reliable infrastructure. Local residents had no choice but to rely on a road that has long been a safety concern. Moreover, when a bomb threat closed the bridge, many drivers attempted to use the 201 Forest Service Road as an emergency bypass route. While this may have been possible in the summer, the road is impassable during winter when it is covered in snow and ice. Vehicles became stuck, and search and rescue teams had to be called in to assist motorists. This incident underscored how critically underdeveloped the infrastructure and emergency routes are in the central Okanagan. This neglect has real-world consequences. The Okanagan's emergency response systems are simply not up to the task. Search and rescue teams, who often assist fire, police, and ambulance services, rely on gaming grant funding to continue their vital work. Yet despite record profits in the BC gaming industry, funding levels have stagnated and have not kept up with inflation. This puts volunteer emergency services at risk. The government must do more to support these critical services, which are a lifeline for many British Columbians in times of need. West Kelowna is also in desperate need of infrastructure improvements. Our second hydro transmission line remains incomplete, leaving the city vulnerable to power outages during wildfires and storms. This is not just an inconvenience, it is a threat to public safety. Even more pressing, West Kelowna, despite being the second largest city in the Okanagan, still does not have its own hospital. Our population is growing rapidly, but healthcare services have not kept pace with the growth. Families should not be forced to travel long distances to receive the care they need. It is time for the government to recognize these urgent needs and invest in infrastructure that is critical to the safety and well-being of British Columbians. We can no longer afford to neglect the infrastructure that supports our communities, nor can we allow emergency preparedness to fall by the wayside. The government must act now to ensure that BC roads, power systems, and emergency services are resilient and prepared for the challenges ahead. Madam Speaker, life in British Columbia has become more expensive than ever before. Whether it's housing, groceries, fuel, or utilities, the rising cost of living is making it harder for families to make ends meet. Across our province, hardworking British Columbians are struggling to balance their budgets, and far too many are being forced to make difficult decisions between basic necessities. This is a crisis that cannot continue to be ignored. In my riding of West Kelowna Peachland, we feel this pressure acutely. Families who have lived there for generations are finding it increasingly difficult to stay in the community they love. The cost of housing has skyrocketed, pushing the dream of homeownership out of the reach for many young families. Whether it's a first-time homebuyer looking for a modest property or a senior trying to downsize to something more affordable, too many people are left with limited options. The cost of living crisis extends far beyond housing. The price of groceries has climbed steadily, leaving families to wonder how they will stretch their paychecks to cover basic needs. Gas prices are a constant strain on household budgets, especially in ridings like West Kelowna Peachland, where many residents depend on their vehicles to get to work or run essential errands. For many, rising fuel costs combined with the carbon tax are becoming an unmanageable burden, limiting British Columbians' mobility and freedom. This affordability problem isn't just making life difficult for those already here. It is driving young people out of British Columbia. Too many bright, hardworking young people are finding it impossible to start their lives in BC. They are forced to leave their home province in search of other opportunities because they can no longer afford to live here. For those who stay, the path to financial independence feels like an uphill battle. We cannot afford to lose our next generation of leaders, entrepreneurs, and skilled workers to other provinces simply because British Columbia is no longer an affordable place to build a future. British Columbia should be a place where hard work is rewarded, where families can build a future, and where communities can thrive. This province has been the envy of the world for its natural beauty, its opportunities, and its good quality of life. But that quality of life is being eroded as costs rise unchecked. We need to ensure that BC remains a place where families can afford to live, work, and raise their children. In my riding, this is more than a matter of economics. It's about the heart of our communities. West Kelowna Peachland is home to families who have built lives here, but they are now being pushed to the brink. The cost of housing and living is making it difficult for young families to put down roots, for seniors to stay in their homes, and for workers to afford the basics. Our communities are at risk of losing their vitality if these negative trends continue. The solution lies in a comprehensive, conservative approach that puts our people first. We need to reduce government interference in the housing market and make it easier for families to find affordable homes. We must incentivize the construction of more affordable housing options while ensuring that the housing market is accessible to middle-class families, not just those with deep pockets. We need to cut the red tape that makes it harder to build, develop, and grow our communities. Additionally, we must address the issue of rising costs in BC across the board. That starts with reducing the tax burden on families and small businesses. We need to bring down the cost of living by lowering taxes and eliminating wasteful government spending. Every dollar taken from hardworking British Columbians is a dollar they could have spent on their families, their homes, and their futures. Instead of taxing our way out of problems, we need a government that believes in the power of the people to make their own decisions in their best interests. At the heart of this is a commitment to ensuring that British Columbia remains a place where families and communities can thrive. We need to foster an economy that supports workers, creates opportunities for young people, and allows businesses to flourish without being burdened by over-regulation and sky-high taxes. The future of our province depends on it. As a representative for West Kelowna Peachland, I am committed to advocating for policies that prioritize affordability, reduce the cost of living, and create real opportunities for all people to succeed. It is time we put the needs of families and communities at the center of our provincial priorities, ensuring that British Columbia remains a place where hard work is rewarded and where everyone has the chance to build the life they deserve. Madam Speaker, British Columbia is unlike any other province in Canada. Our distinct identity is uniquely shaped by the land we call home, the industries that sustain our families, and the communities we hold dear. From the rugged coastline to the majestic mountains, from our agricultural roots to our vibrant tech sector, British Columbia is a province defined by both its natural beauty and the hardworking people who make it thrive. Our future should reflect this richness, but it also needs to be protected and guided by the principles that have always built this great province: self-reliance, personal responsibility, and community strength. One of the most fundamental beliefs I hold as a member of the official opposition is that decisions about our future should be made here in British Columbia, not thousands of kilometers away in Ottawa. While the federal government plays an important role, the people of British Columbia know what is best for our province. We understand our challenges better than anyone else. We know what our needs are different. We know that our needs are different, and that solutions that work in other parts of Canada don't always apply here in BC. Whether it's emergency preparedness, infrastructure, or economic growth, we require tailored solutions that reflect the reality we face and the opportunities we have. As the critic for emergency management, I am committed to ensuring that our province is equipped to handle the unique challenges we face. In British Columbia, we live in an environment where wildfires, floods, and landslides are a part of life. But far too often, we see governments scrambling to react to crises instead of preparing for them. That is why, as a Conservative, I am advocating for a proactive approach to emergency management, one that prioritizes prevention, readiness, and support for our first responders. We must invest in the infrastructure that helps keep communities safe, whether it's upgrading roads, fortifying bridges, or ensuring emergency services have the tools they need to respond swiftly and effectively. In my riding of West Kelowna Peachland, we know firsthand the toll inadequate infrastructure and emergency response can take. We've seen the devastation caused by wildfires, and we've felt the strain on our first responders who are asked to do more with less. It's time for the government to take a proactive, long-term approach to building infrastructure that serves communities, not merely react to crises when they arrive. Whether it's fixing unstable roads, ensuring emergency routes are accessible in all conditions, or bolstering search and rescue operations, we need a government that works to make British Columbia safer before the next disaster strikes. This is also about creating the conditions for economic growth. BC is a province rich in resources, innovation, and talent. Yet we've seen time and time again how provincial policies can stifle the very industries that sustain us. A stronger future for BC means fostering a business environment that allows entrepreneurs to thrive, supports local businesses, and creates jobs families can rely on. BC Conservatives stand firm in our commitment to cut the red tape that burdens businesses, reduce unnecessary taxes that stifle growth, and to make sure that our natural resource industries like forestry, mining, and energy continue to contribute to the prosperity of all British Columbians. We must protect our environment, but we must also protect the economy. These two goals are not mutually exclusive. They go hand in hand. Moreover, we need a BC where the essential infrastructure of our communities, like hospitals and roads, are built to meet the needs of our growing population. West Kelowna Peachland is one of the fastest growing regions in the province, but the infrastructure has not kept pace with the demand. Our second hydro transmission line remains incomplete. And despite being the second largest city in the Okanagan, West Kelowna still lacks its own hospital. These are not just inconveniences. They are critical gaps in our ability to provide the necessary services to our people. As a member of the opposition and a dedicated advocate for my riding, I will continue to push for the infrastructure investments that are essential for BC's future. Every community, no matter how rural or urban, deserves the services and infrastructure that will allow it to grow and thrive. I believe in a future where British Columbians can live in communities that are safe, prosperous, and supported by the right policies. A future where families are empowered to live the life they want without being burdened by sky-high taxes and inefficient government. A future where our roads, hospitals, and schools are built to meet the needs of today and tomorrow. This is the future I am working towards, and I am committed to ensuring that British Columbia remains the best place in Canada to call home. Together, we can build a province that is not only stronger, but smarter in how we address challenges of tomorrow. I'm proud to be part of a Conservative movement that champions the values of independence, hard work, and community. And I will continue to fight for a stronger, safer, freer, and more prosperous British Columbia for all. Madam Speaker, British Columbia is my home. It always has been, and it always will be. From the Okanagan Valley, where I was born and raised, to the rugged mountains and peaceful lakes that define our province, every inch of this land is part of who I am. British Columbia is not only a place to live, it is the heart and soul of our identity. It is the land that nurtures us, the communities that support us, and the future we are building for our next generation. It is a privilege to stand before you in this chamber today, representing the people of West Kelowna Peachland and advocating for the future of this great province. The challenges we face in British Columbia are real, but so are the opportunities. Together we can chart a course toward a future where British Columbia remains a beacon of opportunity, self-reliance, and prosperity. A future where the people of BC, every family, every worker, every community, are given the tools and the freedoms to succeed. As a proud member of the official opposition and the critic for emergency management, I am committed to working tirelessly for the people of this province. We must prioritize British Columbia first. Whether it's ensuring our infrastructure is built to last, investing in our emergency preparedness, or cutting the government's red tape that holds us back. Our province is full of untapped potential. I believe that with the right leadership, BC can become the model for economic growth, strength, personal freedom, and greater autonomy. Let's work together to build a stronger, safer, and more resilient British Columbia, one where the needs of our people come first. A province where families can live in peace, where businesses can thrive, and where our natural beauty is preserved for generations to come. It is time to put British Columbia back on a path to prosperity, to reclaim the values that have always defined us, hard work, freedom, and responsibility, and to ensure that our province remains the best place in Canada to live, work, and raise a family. This is my commitment to you. I will continue to fight for the future of this province and its people, because BC is worth fighting for. Thank you, Madam Speaker.